Hey everyone, and welcome back to Cooking with Big Mark. Today we are going to be talking holiday cheeses.
Well, we're talking about the concept of trying to entertain in this era of COVID, sort of like a COVID cuisine steps to do. So cheeses seem to me to be something that you can do ahead of time and has some advantages in that it is all done ahead of time. It can be set out. And for 4 to 6 people, if you have family the next weeks coming up, like Christmas and then New Year's, or neighbors who you know are not infected by COVID. Any group more than 8, I don't predict anything that because you're crazy. You shouldn't be having that in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just talk about this, but you set it up on a table, a buffet dining room table, counter, whatever. And each person, as they come in, would have their own plate, their own little knife to cut the cheese, and a little spoon in case you have things like spiced nuts or pomegranate seeds or other things that require a spoon. And they keep that with them all night long. So they're only touching their own utensils. Then they have to have some place to set things down, either TV tables or stools or next to cocktail tables, if you're keeping the social distancing. So anyway, that's the way. That was the concept of people coming in. So at this point, it's now what you're figuring. What variety are we going to have? What kinds of cheeses? And you want to have like a fresh cheese, aged cheese, or washed rind. A washed rind is how they build up thing for especially on aged cheeses. And then you've got what they call a bloomy rind, which would be your Bries, Camemberts, St. Andres, and those where it's very soft rind. Then you got to think of the milk sources of the cheese. Is it goat? Is it sheep? Is it cow? Goat cheeses tend to be a little bit on the acidic side, and sheep cheeses seem to be sort of on the sweeter side, and cow cheese tend to be on the creamier side. And when you're thinking about proportions, you figure about each kind maybe about 2 ounces per person. And the reason you get the hard cheeses, those are ones that are usually aged longer anyway, to start with. Then you want to think about condiments that you can have with the cheese. Things like fig jam is a great one. It goes beautifully with all kinds of contrast. And that red pepper jelly they used to have it the same thing. But the apple slices, pear slices, some nuts, charcuterie can be added into pre-cut, either things like salamis, prosciuttos, or any other kinds, and they can be easily picked up. And then what you want to do is go through the cheeses. You want to have a soft cheese, semi-soft. Those would be things like Port Salut or Bel Paese, any one of those soft cheeses, meaning that you can squeeze them. Then you get the hard cheeses, which Parmigiano Reggiano is probably the most famous one. Very salty, and that's a great foil for some other contrast too. Then you want to have some fresh cheese, probably in a blue, and then you just try all different things. And having wine, you can make a little contest out of it. People can try. You don't tell them what kind it is in the beginning. Let them guess what it is or what the source is, whether it's sheep or cow. And if the host has some creative aspects, that's be the way to do it. Another thing you can do is wine. What I'd be kind of fun to give, if you're serving mostly wine, would be to give everybody a white wine and a red wine, and to let them taste off the reactions of the wines, red or white, to the different cheeses, and see how they react to it, and gives you a little bit of an interest, and gets beyond just the fact of coming in and plunking down and not doing anything else. Other thing is cheese, the ubiquitous cheese balls, which over the years people always said put those off, but now there's sort of like a new twist on them. What you can do, and again, staying in this COVID cuisine presentations, is taking them and making them in little small sizes, like this, smaller than than a golf ball. And you can stick a little stick in them like a pretzel stick and make it like a lollipop. But you give people a variety, and of course the basis for those are cream cheese and whatever else you want to add into it. It could be, Boursin type cheeses, garlic herb. It can be Swiss pride, which is a spreading cheddar, port wine cheddar. Any flavors if you want. The same old thing we talk about with flavor and flavor out. That's what it's going to come out with, what you put in. But there are fabulous combinations. I mean, you can have garlic and herb. You can have bird. You can have a crab rangoon thing, cranberry pecan, bacon, horseradish, all kinds of things. And then the way to make them would be to make your basic mixture the night before, and then use like a little scoop to scoop up a small ball, and then either put them in the refrigerator overnight, or if you're doing it in the same day, in the freezer for a little bit, just so they congeal. When you're making them, if it's sticking to your hand, just keep your hands wet a little bit. It'll smooth it out when you make your little balls. Then the next day, take them out and put different exteriors on the different kinds, so you and they can tell them apart. And again, just put them out. Give each person their own plate. Give them each one of a variety. And again, let them guess what they're made up of as well. So it's just a little intrigue. And if you're a creative host, you can come up with those little twists that make take it out of the ordinary into something. I won't say extraordinary. Well, hopefully it might be, but at least it's gets it out of the mundane into the fun, sort of the fun category. So those are the main thing with cheese. I've seen other things. One person took all those little balls with different colors, and they put them all around in a circle like a wreath, and made a wreath out of the different sizes, and people help themselves to it. So, but I think that's enough for the cheese presentation. But the beauty of it, again, could all be done ahead of time. You don't have a lot of heating and passing and doing things. If you do serve the wine, I would suggest having one person do the pouring all night long. So only one person is handling the bottle and everything else. But once it's set up, it becomes pretty much self-serving and self-sufficient. So,
all right, cool. Well, speaking of pairing wines and cheeses, we have a lovely red from the Entre-deux-Mers region of Bordeaux. This is Roc de Levrault 2018. Cabernet dominated blends are going to be best with your aged or hard cheeses, anything the tannins can play off nicely.
Yeah.
Comté, cheddar, also a lot of the British cheeses, especially the blues, Stilton. So we have, that's very nice. A little bit of currant on the nose, a little red apple. Some earthier notes on the palate, especially coffee, interestingly enough. So this has been another episode of Cooking with Big Mark. Happy holidays to everyone, and thank you for joining us.